boyfriend's here. He's asking about you. Ready here.
Okay. So now, how high will this go?
You must have taken.
Oh, hold on a second. You can actually steal it back now. Okay. You didn't used to be allowed to do that. You trading me?
There we go.
All right, re-ask your question.
All right, how high can you go with this drone?
FAA guidelines say 400 feet.
400 feet, okay. Now, there's a tower to your right. Can you go up above that?
Yeah. FAA says that we can fly 400 feet over that tower. So whatever the height of that tower is, I can go 400 feet above that.
Okay.
As long as I stay within a certain radius of the tower. I'm just kind of skimming over this field and see if I can see any deer or anything out there. But it's pretty empty right now.
So you have the infrared on.
That's correct, yeah.
Now let's say the battery goes low.
So once the battery reaches a certain point, it'll return to home. So when I took it off, it records its home point by GPS location. So if in the event the battery got too low, it knows that it has to come back and land in the same spot we took it off.
Okay. So it'll automatically come back by itself.
Correct.
Yeah, and it actually has 3 types of return to home. 3 different ways the return to home can be activated. One is by pushing the return to home button on the remote controller. The other one Gary mentioned, which is low battery return to home. Then also, if the link is broken between the remote controller and the drone, like if it loses signal, it'll also return home.
Okay. So it's raining today. Does this have an effect?
Yeah, this particular aircraft, that's one of the big advantages. This is the Matrice 210. And one of the big advantages of it over almost any other drone on the market is that it can fly in the rain and it has a really wide temperature range. So it'll fly below 0 degrees Fahrenheit and it can fly more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, gotcha. How? It's an expensive drone, would you say?
It's expensive, but for what it does, there's no other drones in this price range that can do what this does. Flying in the rain is a big, expensive feature, and then having dual payloads, like 2 cameras at one time, that's almost unheard of in the drone world. So that's really quite a spectacular feature.
You know what? Let's say you want to become a pilot, drone pilot. What do you have to do?
That's a great question. So to fly is a non-hobbyist, so any flight other than just a hobby flight, whether it be volunteering your time for an organization like this or flying as part of your job or any other sort of commercial activity, you need to get a remote pilot certificate, a Part 107 remote pilot certificate from the FAA.
Okay, where would you take the class or the
Well, that's
test?
great. So there's no actual class required. It's the entire the certification is simply based on a computer-based test. You can take it at an FAA-approved testing center, which most of them are at airports. But if it's kind of like Pilot Light, we call it. So most of the things, or a lot of the things you need to know to become a pilot to fly, like say a Cessna or a small airplane, a lot of those concepts you have to be familiar with as far as airspace and weather and communication, a lot of that stuff. And anyhow, so if you don't do some studying or find a course to take to be able to pass this test, it's going to be really hard for the average person to just walk into the testing center and be able to pass.
Okay. Now, once you get that certificate, how long does it last? I mean, do you have to renew
good for
it?
2 years, and every 2 years you have to recertify.
Okay, and take the same. You have to take a class over, or you just take a test?
You don't really have to take class even the first time. All you have to do is take the test the first time, and then the second time it's a slightly easier test. The second time it's only 40 questions, where the initial test is 60 questions, so it's a little bit easier.
Okay. Well, where do you hope this drone program goes in the future? You hope to expand with it?
Yeah, we hope to train more people. We hope to expand beyond Washington Fire and do some more trainings with different departments.
Yeah, our focus right now, I think, is really on the training aspect of it. There is not a lot of companies or organizations really putting on these Part 107 classes to get pilots, especially pilots in the emergency services, trained. And so we've been focusing a lot on that lately. We have a really top-notch program we put together to help people get their Part 107, to help people recertify their Part 107. We have a night class. And then we have this robot test course, they call it, which is put on by NIST, and it's a way to meet the requirements. You just die? Oh, that's right, we take that part
You're
out.
good.
And it's a way to meet the requirements of NFPA 2400, and they have some JPRs, some job performance requirements, and essentially it's a set of minimum standards that you as a department should have before you let your pilots go ahead and start flying drones for the department. So we put on a course for that as well.
Okay.
And I hope you pass your class.
Me too. Thanks.